Hello everyone and welcome to Brave Souls Rewind, the show where I 200 older characters so you don't have to. Today I'll be rewinding the resurrected version of Tag Team Rangiku, something I've actually looked forward to for quite some time. Mostly because I have her 5 out of 5, she's got a double killer, and she came out at a time where characters didn't have the best strong attack range, but it also wasn't bad, and that was my favorite era of this game. Now for the purposes of the rewind, I am not using the 5 out of 5 character. This one's a 3 out of 5 and I haven't increased her stats at all via Transcendence. And as you can see, her normal attack is doing a decent amount of damage. She doesn't have the highest attack, but she does have a plus 30 bruiser. She also has the advantage of having a double killer, in this case Hollow and Arankar, and coincidentally, the Inheritance Zone had both Hollow and Arankars as enemies. Basically, she didn't have to struggle to get through the enemies, and even her strong attacks did a decent amount of damage thanks to her high attack and the Frenzy. Now with that said, while I didn't struggle to take out each individual enemy, I did have to take on one at a time. Rangiku is ranged, but her normal attack isn't piercing, meaning unless the enemies were really close together, I was really only hitting one at a time, and it resulted in a pretty high clear time. And keep in mind I was going up against Arankars and Hollows. Had it been something else like Arankars and Soul Reapers, or Hollows and no affiliation, the clear time would have actually been even higher, since the killer multiplication would only apply to one of those affiliations. So I'm gonna say, while doable, I wouldn't really recommend this build. Bleep bloop. Next up is a strong attack recharge / strong attack damage build, and this is the build I was most excited for. Rangiku has a boosted strong attack recharge link, and in her resurrected form she has Frenzy. The result was some pretty solid damage. For the most part I was able to take out the enemies easily. That said, I did find myself using my normal attack a lot more than I thought I would, because and I don't know if you know this, enemies like to move around, and while Rangiku does have better range than a lot of other characters that came out at her time, thanks in part to her plus 20 havoc, there were times that I only managed to clip some enemies, and I had to take out the remaining health with my normal attack, which under this build is not great. Still, you don't have to wait long for her strong attacks to recharge, so you can just use those if you wanted to. So while my clear time was a bit longer than I would have liked, I'm still gonna say this build is viable. It was definitely faster than the last one. And finally, we have the Highbury build. And honestly, I didn't really see that much of a difference in damage with her strong attacks under this build than the last. Sure, her SP is lower, but her attack is higher, and the attack stat does play into how much damage your strong attacks do. Under this build, they didn't come back as fast, but I actually didn't notice, because under this build, your normal attack actually does a decent amount of damage. Well, decent enough anyway. Definitely enough to clear remaining enemies' health, and to dispose of other enemies once their guards have been broken. Like many other times, I'm gonna say that this build is also viable, and probably the best. I still enjoyed the last one better just because I like spamming strong attacks, but that's just me. In the end, this Rangiku is still usable, though I wouldn't use her in any co-op. Not that she couldn't deal with damage, she definitely can, especially with a high enough SP. There's just an overwhelming amount of enemies on co-op, and she doesn't exactly have the range for that, or the attack speed, so you're better off using someone else. Still, for single player or Senkaimon, she's definitely up for the task, as long as you don't mind investing a bit more time.
この一撃で終わらせる今日が聖乱
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what other characters you want to see in a rewind.